Coco. Hello, Henry. What's all the... You!
Well, hello, Red Dingbat. We meet again.
What is he doing here? Last time I remember, he was at the bottom of the freaking ocean.
They found him whilst they were cleaning the docks.
Well, throw him back in.
The Fat Controller wants to investigate something with him. Then he'll probably do just that.
Oh, I'm not going back in the water. Not after Mr. Boguston hears what Fat Hat did to me.
Ha! I'm afraid you're out of luck. Phil Boguston is dead.
What? That can't be.
I'm afraid so, mate. He's been dead for over 4 years. He died of a stroke just before he was due to stand trial. He would have been put in jail anyway had he been alive.
Phil Boguston? I remember that name. But what exactly did he do in the end? The twins decided to ask Boko later that day.
Hello, what sort of mischief are you up to now?
We're not. We just want to ask you something. Could you tell us about Phil Boguston and what he has to do with that tanker?
Oh, so you don't know the whole story. Well, I guess I better shed some light on it for you. Since the 1950s, the Boguston family were hugely successful through their company, Boguston Fuel. Chad Boguston, Phil's grandfather, was a very good businessman and made a massive amount of money. Once the Fat Controller started using diesels back then, the Northwestern Railway entered a partnership. For many years, Boguston Fuel was used to power most of the diesels. After Chad retired, his son Arthur took over. For many years he was just as good as his father and did quite a good job of following in his shoes. But then, in the 1990s, the relationship became quite strained as Arthur began to show his true greed. His business became a large cage of corruption. It came to light that he was abusing his employees, whom were mostly poor migrant workers, by practically paying them below minimum wage for extreme hours. His fuel plants were extremely unfriendly to the environment, pumping tons of black smoke into the air. He refused to take any measures to reduce it. In 1994, Sir Topham Hatt III, having had enough of the corruption, ended the partnership and began using different fuel. Arthur was very angry and tried unsuccessfully to get the Fat Controller to start using his fuel again, but the Fat Controller would not bow down to the crooked businessman. Then, however, Arthur's son, Phil Boguston, came to power. He proved to be a much better person than his father and did his best to repair the company's image. During the recession of 2008, the Fat Controller decided to re-enter the partnership, and it seemed like all had been forgiven. Sir Topham Hatt IV, the current Fat Controller, was given his position on New Year's Day 2013, and although he was in favour of the partnership as well, he decided to try a variety of fuel sources rather than just one. However, most of the different fuel sources had very nasty side effects on diesels. Boguston's fuel seemed to be the only reliable one. However, the Fat Controller was smart and knew that something was up. He had the other fuel tested, and it turned out that it all had been tampered with. An investigation came to the conclusion that it was not anyone from the other fuel companies. It was narrowed down to one suspect, Phil Boguston himself. He had been tampering with the fuel of other companies to make it seem like his fuel was the only reliable source. And what's more, it was then leaked that he was dumping fuel into the ocean. Obviously, doing that and screwing up fuel is highly illegal, so a trial was scheduled for the fall of 2013. The Fat Controller immediately assumed he was guilty, so he cut all ties with Boguston Fuel. Phil was obviously very angry at this and swore to prove his innocence in court, but that never happened. A month before his trial, Phil Boguston died of a stroke.
Well, that's unfortunate timing. But what does Wretch have to do with him?
Wretch is a fuel tanker that was owned by Boguston Fuel. He caused all sorts of accidents, including one with me and James. Of course, now he's probably going to be turned into a museum piece. Oh, would you look at the time? I'm sorry, I have to dash off. Do your best to ignore that tanker if you come across him. But that was easier said than done. Bill and Ben were shunting trucks at the docks into a siding. The tanker stood at the end, watching them.
You call these engines? They look like banana slugs.
Look who's talking.
Oh, you two can laugh now, but not when you're sold off for scrap after your controller is locked up.
Locked up? What on earth are you talking about?
Your controller's always been a shady figure.
And yours wasn't? Sorry, but I can't hear you over the extreme cloud of hypocrisy flowing off you. Your controller was a corrupted creature, and now he's long dead.
Right before he was supposed to go to trial, eh? Coincidence? I think not!
He died of a stroke.
A stroke? Pah! I know his death wasn't natural. It was nothing more than a homicide, a murder.
A murder? By who?
Who do you think? There's only one suspect. Who was Boguston's biggest enemy? I'm talking about none other than your old fat controller.
Bill and Ben were horrified at such a statement. So were the trucks.
Boguston likely knew secret information about the Fat Controller's activities and would have revealed them to the court. That's why he killed him. Probably put poison in his drink.
That's a lie. The Fat Controller is a marvelous man. He would never hurt, let alone kill anyone.
Don't let your bias obstruct you from the truth, my dear engine. One day, the truth will show itself, and Phil Boguston will be avenged.
I've heard enough of this bovine excrement. Let's get away from this lout.
The twins set off with their trucks, who were all whispering to each other.
Do you think he did it? Is he a murderer?
Shut up! But secretly, both Bill and Ben were conflicted. Of course, it did not seem in the nature of someone like the Fat Controller to do such a heinous thing, but they also knew that every story had two sides. They decided to talk to Edward about it.
Hello, you two look glum. What's the matter?
Edward, can we ask you a question?
Of course.
Well, basically, did the Fat Controller murder Phil Boguston?
Certainly not! Where on earth did you come up with such a horrible idea?
Wretch told us.
Wretch! You two shouldn't be talking with him. It's bad enough that his ugly face has emerged from the ocean. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to get my train ready.
And Edward left. Bill and Ben were not satisfied.
Wretch may often tell rubbish, but it sounds like a very unlikely coincidence for Boguston to die right before he went to trial. I don't know, Bill. What if our Fat Controller is not the man he seems? Regardless, I don't think we should spread this around.
But it was no use. The trucks had spread the word around, and soon the other engines heard them gossiping about it. Of course, none of them believed it. The Fat Controller knew something was up with the trucks, but didn't know what they were talking about.
Boko, you know what those trucks are up to. I hear them whispering, but every time I approach them, they go quiet.
I think some rumors about you are going around, but I'm not quite sure what they are. I did, however, hear them mentioning that they heard it from Bill and Ben.
Right. I'll get to the bottom of this.
Bill and Ben were shunting trucks at the China Clay Works.
I've made a decision. I'm not going to believe it. It's a load of rubbish. Are you sure? I don't know, Bill. Something just doesn't seem right. The idea that the Fat Controller did such an atrocity is just, well...
Well, what?
The twins jumped. This was the last person they wanted to talk to.
What atrocity, may I ask, do you think I committed?
Oh, nothing.
Didn't sound like nothing. What are you two on about?
It's, complicated. You wouldn't understand.
I will do my bloody best. The trucks have been spreading around rumors, and I don't even know what they're about. Now, you two better tell me.
All right. It's, something, Wretch told us.
Uh-huh. What did he tell you? As if you can trust him.
It's, very difficult to say this, but He thinks he murdered Phil Boguston.
The Fat Controller stared. Then he laughed so hard that his face went red.
Oh, my goodness! This is a new one! Where on earth did he come up with that idea?
Well, he thinks that it was too much of a coincidence that he died right before his trial.
Oh, this is just unbelievable. What you have been hearing are conspiracy theories, nothing more. Phil Boguston died of a stroke. We have evidence of that. An autopsy was performed and found nothing suspicious, and his family has been shown the results, and they believe it.
Really?
Yes, as a matter of fact, before they confirmed it, I believed he had committed suicide because he knew he would be found guilty. But it was just an unfortunate coincidence.
Oh, I see now. We're awfully sorry, sir. We didn't actually spread any rumours. The trucks happened to be there when Wretch told us, and they spread it. And I don't believe those rumours now.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. Whenever something bad happens, people will always try to pick apart all the details and assign blame because they just can't believe the truth. We've had all kinds of theories about events on this railway, and none of them are true. You must understand that Boguston was Wretch's master, and of course he's going to find some excuse for revenge on this railway.
I guess that is true. But why did you dump him in the sea?
Now, that is something I admit I shouldn't have done. I should have just scrapped him. But one thing we did discover about Wretch was that Boguston was using him as, well, a weapon to discredit my railway. Boguston told him to cause all the trouble he did so the safety record of the railway would be tarnished. That's why we had to get rid of him. Now then, in the future, you must not jump to conclusions about every story people tell. You need to know the facts first. Now then, I've got to go give that tanker a good talking to.
The trucks still gossiped, but after being told the facts many times by the other engines, they stopped believing the nonsense. The Fat Controller was very keen on throwing Wretch back into the ocean, but decided not to. He realized that the tanker had some information he needed to know, and he put him in a shed isolated from everyone else. His days of spreading rumors are at an end.